Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at a part that every car has, but most people totally underestimate: the water pump. It's small and hidden, but without it, your engine wouldn't last 5 minutes, because it's the component that keeps your engine from overheating and makes sure everything stays at the perfect operating temperature. A lot of people don't realize just how important this little pump really is. So in this video, we'll cover what it does, how it works, how you can tell when it's failing, the different types of water pumps, and when you should replace it before it causes serious engine damage. Let's start from the beginning. What exactly does the water pump do? Your engine produces a massive amount of heat while running. During combustion, temperatures in the cylinders can reach well over 2000 degrees Celsius. The coolant, a mix of water and antifreeze, absorbs that heat and carries it away. And the water pump is what keeps that coolant circulating continuously through the system, from the engine block, through the cylinder head, out to the radiator, and back again. You can think of the water pump as the heart of your cooling system. Without it, the coolant would just sit still, and your engine would quickly overheat, seize up, or even crack the cylinder head. So how does it actually work? Most traditional water pumps are mechanically driven, usually powered by the serpentine belt or the timing belt. Inside, there's a small impeller wheel that spins whenever the engine is running, pushing the coolant through the system. It sounds simple, but the pump has to withstand high temperatures, pressure, and constant rotation for tens of thousands of miles. In many vehicles, it lasts as long as the timing belt itself, which is why they're often replaced together. Modern cars, however, often use electric water pumps. These operate independently of the engine, meaning they can run even when the engine is turned off. For example, to cool the turbocharger after shutdown or to provide cabin heat while idling. They're especially common in hybrids and newer engines because they're more efficient and reduce energy losses. But whether mechanical or electric, the job is the same: keeping coolant flowing so the engine stays at a stable temperature. Now, how can you tell if your water pump is failing? There are a few classic symptoms. The most common one is coolant leakage. The water pump has a seal that keeps the coolant inside the system. When that seal starts to fail, you'll often see green or reddish stains near the pump area, or maybe a few drops of coolant under the car. Ignore that long enough, and the coolant level can drop so low that the engine overheats. Another symptom is a whining or grinding noise coming from the engine bay. That's usually a worn bearing inside the pump. If the bearing completely fails, the pump can seize up. And if it's driven by the timing belt, that can cause the belt to snap, leading to catastrophic engine damage. You might also notice the engine temperature gauge behaving erratically, or the engine running hotter than usual, even though the thermostat and radiator are fine. Sometimes you'll hear a gurgling sound in the cooling system, or notice that your heater doesn't blow hot air anymore, both signs that coolant flow isn't circulating properly. If you notice any of these signs, don't ignore them. A bad water pump isn't something you can drive for a few more weeks with. In the worst case, it'll destroy your engine. So when should you replace the water pump? That depends on your vehicle. If your pump is driven by the timing belt, it's highly recommended to replace both at the same time. Because if you install a new timing belt but leave an old water pump that later seizes, the belt will break, and the result is just as bad. For pumps that are driven separately by a serpentine belt or electrically, they can usually be replaced individually, typically every 60,000 to 90,000 miles, or when the first leaks start showing up. Now let's take a look inside a water pump. The housing is usually made from aluminum or cast iron, and inside there's the impeller, the little wheel that pushes the coolant. In the past, impellers were made of metal, but today they're often plastic or composite. That makes them lighter and resistant to corrosion. However, not all plastic impellers are equal. Cheap aftermarket ones can warp or break over time, so it's always worth going for a quality brand. Reputable manufacturers include Graf, Heppu, Pierburg, and Aisin. The water pump also works hand in hand with the thermostat. The thermostat controls whether coolant flows through the radiator or just circulates in the smaller internal loop. The pump itself always runs, but the path the coolant takes changes depending on the temperature. That helps the engine warm up faster and stay at a steady temperature later on. Modern systems can even actively control coolant flow. Some electric water pumps can vary their flow rate depending on engine load and temperature, improving efficiency and helping the engine reach operating temperature faster. Here's a little tip from real-world experience. If you're losing coolant and can't find the leak, check the water pump area carefully. Many drivers replace hoses, radiator caps or thermostats, but overlook the pump itself. If you shine a flashlight from underneath or from the side, you'll often find a small hole on the pump body called the weep hole. If you see coolant traces there, it's a sign the internal seal has failed and the pump needs replacement. When installing a new pump, cleanliness is crucial. The mounting surface must be perfectly clean, and you should never use extra sealant if the pump already comes with a rubber gasket. Too much sealant can block coolant passages. After installation, the cooling system must be thoroughly bled. Air pockets will prevent the pump from circulating coolant and can cause overheating almost immediately. As for cost, replacing a water pump including labor usually runs between $200 and $700 depending on the vehicle. Simpler cars are on the lower end, while modern or electric systems can be more expensive due to complexity and labor time. If you're replacing it together with the timing belt, it will cost more, but that's still far cheaper than a full engine rebuild. Here's a fun fact to end on. Did you know that some race cars actually have 2 or more water pumps? One for the engine and another just for cooling the turbochargers or hybrid batteries. That shows just how critical good cooling is for performance and engine longevity. So to sum it up, the water pump may be a small part, but it's absolutely vital to your engine's health. It keeps your motor at the right temperature, prevents overheating, and ensures your car runs smoothly for years. If you maintain it properly and replace it on time, you'll save yourself a ton of money and avoid major engine damage. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what component you'd like me to cover next. Maybe the thermostat, the radiator, or the head gasket. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.